guys, let's do lesson 23 today. So for this lesson, you're going to need a red and blue crayon. So on the first part, it says on the number line above, use a red color pencil to divide each whole into fourths. Label each fraction above the line and use a fraction strip to help you estimate if necessary. So I think most of you are pretty good at figuring this out without the fraction strip. So I'm going to first make fourths. Remember, we're dividing each whole into fourths. So to make fourths, you would tell me in class we do 3 lines. And now they want me to label each fraction. So I would start with 0/4 and go up. All right. Now on the number line, I'm going to use the blue color pencil to make eighths. And from our lesson last week, you know to make fourths into eighths, all we're going to do is cut each part in half again. So again, let me draw a picture to kind of explain that. If I have fourths and I want to make fourths eighths, I would just cut every section in half again, and now I'm making eighths. That's what I'm going to do with my blue. And now it wants me to label each eighth below. So 0/8, 1/8. Remember to put your eighths also on your red lines because they're counting as your eighths lines as well. 5/8. I know it's hard to see. I'll post a picture of this for your parents because crayon's kind of hard to read. 9/8, 10/8, 11/8, 12/8, 13/8, 14/8. 15/8, 16/8 is going to be at 2 wholes because we know 16 divided by 8 is 2, or 8 times 2 is 16. 17/8, 18/8, 19/8, 20/8, 21/8, 22/8, 23/8, running out of room, and 24/8 is at 3 wholes. Now I'm going to list the fractions that name the same place on the number line. So I'm looking for equivalent fractions. So I'm going to go look and see which fractions share a line. Well, 0/4 is equal to 0/8. There is nothing equal to 1/8 with it fourths. Then I have 1/4 is equal to 2/8. I don't have anything equal to 3/8. 2/4 is equal to 4/8. Nothing's equal to 5/8. 3/4 is equal to 6/8. Nothing's equal to 7/8. 4/4 is equal to 8/8. Nothing is equal to 9/8. 5/4, I need to do it this way, is equal to 10/8. That's a 5, sorry. Nothing's equal to 11. 6/4 is equal to 12/8. Nothing's equal to 13. 7/4 is equal to 14/8. Nothing's equal to 15/8. We have 8/4 is equal to 16/8. Are you noticing a pattern yet? What are we doing with each of these fractions? 6 times 2 is 12. 7 times 2 is 14. Each of them are multiplying by 2 on numerator and denominator, just like in yesterday's lesson. Nothing's equal to 17/8. 9/4 is equal to 18/8. 10/4 is equal to 20/8. 11/4 is equal to 22/8. And 12/4 is equal to 24/8. And that's where my number line stops. But each of these is multiplying by 2 because we halved each section again. We made double the pieces on the number line as what was in red. Using your number line to help you, what red fractions and what blue fraction would be equal to 7/2? Okay, now this one's a tough one. You have to imagine halves now. So I'm going to get a green crayon and go to my half point. So my 1/2 would be at 2/4 and 4/8. And then here I would have in between 1 and 2, it would be at 6/4. And then here, between 2 and 3, I'd be at 10/4. So now to figure out, where would 7/2 be? So this would be 0/2, 1/2, 2/2, 3/2, 4/2, 5/2. 6/2 would be at 3 wholes. So if that's there, what's going to come next? I've got to figure out what fraction would be equal with my fourths and my eighths. Well, it's not there. So what you could do is you could continue your number line, or you could multiply. You could say, what is equal to 7/2 with the denominator of 4? Well, 2 times 2 is 4. So what is 7 times 2? 14. So 14/4 is equal to 7/2. Well, what's going to be equal to 7/2 with the denominator of 8? Okay, this is a new skill because we're not going to be multiplying just by 2 this time. But 2 times what is 8? 2, 4, 6, 8. 4. So I'm going to do the same thing to my bottom as I do my top. So 2 times 4 is 8. 7 times 4 would be what? 28. So 28/8 is what's equal to 7/2 and 8. All right, draw the part of the number line that would include these fractions and below and label it. So here's the number line. I'm going to start at 3 and go to 4. If I'm in halves, my first fraction for 3 would be 6/2. This would be 7/2. And this would be 8/2. Well, now I'm going to go make fourths and eighths. And I'm going to label them all. So, starting with my fourths, starting at 3 wholes, I saw that I was in 12/4. So I'd be 12/4, 13/4, 14/4, 15/4, and 16/4. And then for my eighths, at 3 wholes, I was at 24/8, 25/8, 26/8, 27/8, 28/8, 29/8, 30/8, 31/8, and 32/8. Again, I know that crayon's hard to see, so I'm going to take a picture of it and post a better picture on Dojo with it. But we can look now at 7/2 and see that our fraction 14/4 is there and our fraction 28/8 is there. So here's our trick to figure it out without the number line, but this is how we can understand why they are equal to one another. Because when we are breaking apart that number line, they end up on the same point. All right, guys. Hope you have a great rest of the day.